Cali X Boxing and is back with the fresh week. It is Monday, and I'm happy to be here, joined by industry insider D Style Boxing. What's going on? Put your X's up. Get the boxing gloves up in the chat. We are rocking and rolling today, and we're talking Canelo
Please
Alvarez.
don't, please don't call me that. I'm a proud outsider of this fight game.
Yeah, I mean, we have some breaking news too, by the way, being reported the past half hour. Ryan
Yeah,
Garcia is back versus Oscar Duarte, a guy who's won 11 straight. Just your thoughts on that. I mean, my one observation about this, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because we got plenty of time to talk about it. But
mm,
my one observation is he's got an odd career in that I don't think
yeah.
I've ever seen this before, where he hasn't fought at lightweight in almost 3 years. He's fighting lightweights and he's still ranked at lightweight, but he doesn't have an official lightweight fight in almost 3 years, and he'll keep that trend going. It's now a trend. He's fighting another lightweight at not lightweight, and he's going to fight December 2nd in San Antonio. What you got on that? Anything?
Very interesting. He hasn't had that many rounds either, Ryan. So I'm thinking they got him someone they believe is durable that he could beat. He could put some rounds in, but at the same time look spectacular and maybe get like a mid or late round stoppage against. That's what it looks like to me here. And someone who's like, he fought Tank before that. His opponent wasn't really engaging, so I think they want him in there with someone who's gonna bring it. That's gonna make him look good, and obviously an opponent's gonna try to win. I'm just surprised that actually I'm not surprised, but this was Oscar De La Hoya's big reveal. Remember he was saying, "Oh, we got a big opponent. We're working on something big for Ryan."
Huge.
And this is it. I mean, like ta-da! Like I mean, like happy. Like I just hope it's not pay per view. You
The
know what I mean?
great no, it's not. That's the great
Good.
news about this. It's not pay per view. The zone's giving us for something for a subscription. He's
Aren't they
coming back the
merciful?
same year. He's coming back before Tank Davis. Oddly enough, so
Right.
and
Well,
it's
look, he
not a pay
didn't
per view.
take a lot of damage. None of them did in that fight.
Correct.
They should both already be fighting. But I'm okay with the fight just
Hmm.
because, look, he's coming off a loss. It's not pay per view, right?
Hmm.
And let's see what he could do. Let's see what Ryan can do at the gate. Let's see if what he can do as far as generating interest. How will he trend? On social media. We won't have any data on pay per view, obviously, because it's not going to be on pay per view.
How many tickets is he going to sell in San Antonio? That'll give us a good
Yeah,
idea
yeah. Like
right
we
out of
need to know
gate.
how's he going to do in San Antonio. How's like I'm kind of surprised they're doing it in San Antonio. To be honest with you, I would have rather them done like Staples Center. They don't call it Staples. What's it called now? Crypto Arena,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
or
something
something
like
like
that.
that. Like
I call it Staples.
in my opinion, they should have done it somewhere around there. But we'll see how he does in San Antonio, though. I mean, if there's still a Mexican crowd there, San Antonio, believe it or not, is a fight town just in
Yeah,
general. So I'm okay with it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Let's see how he does, and then um, hopefully something big next year, right? A Teofimo maybe
Tiafimo.
or something like that. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Raleigh, I guess. Some people think that's big. I don't think it is, but whatever. But maybe we'll get a Raleigh fight. Um, and we'll go from there. But I am ready for him to like. If you're going to be a 140 pounder, like fight 140 pounders.
Yeah,
Like like
yeah.
it's time. Like fight some guys at 140, bro. You're how are you going to adjust to that weight class and to guys that are just like your size if you're not fighting guys your size? So that's what.
That's the one negative I have to say about the fight is it's a clear trend now, right? It's a clear trend of almost 3 years fighting lightweights at not lightweight, and he's still ranked at lightweight. I have more of a problem with that. Not more. Not. I mean, I know what they're doing. Ryan, at least he fought Tank, but I like he's coming back. It's 11 straight fights. Duarte has won. He's gonna try to take the fight to Ryan. I don't think he's gonna show up for a paycheck like we saw with Charlo the other night.
For sure.
So good fight, not pay per view. Good fight. At least I get something from my DAZN
I'm okay.
subscription.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Um, who is your and by the way, shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you're hitting that like button today. Make sure you're hitting that like button. I'm gonna get to comments in a minute. Let me jump off with this as far as Saturday night. Besides Canelo, who is your fighter of the night on Saturday?
Elijah Garcia, I think he did he had a really good performance, and he had resistance. His opponent came to fight. He had resistance. He had someone in front of him that was trying to win, and that forced Elijah to show us more. Right. He started going to the body more. He was headhunting a lot early. Then he started going to the body. Then he started landing combinations. Sometimes guys, they're either like they're lasered in on the head, and then they're like, okay, let me go to the body, and then but they forget one or the other. Elijah his combinations were both to the body and the head, and I was very impressed.
Me too.
I was shout out to DJ Machika. She knew someone that knew Elijah when Elijah was just a prospect and no one knew who he was. And I said, like, would you like to have him on? And I'm like, sure, I'll have anybody on. You know, they're a pro boxer, and bring him on. And we had him on, and really good interview, great kid. And he's like, after I talked to him, I saw some of his fights, and I'm like, this kid's gonna be something, man. And he could be the future of the middleweight division. God knows the middleweight division needs some life in it. At least there's some spark of a future here. He's climbing up the rankings. He's a top 10 middleweight in my book right now. I think the win over Resendez here is a solid win. For those that don't remember, Resendez had a pretty good win over Jared Hurd. I think it was it February? Whatever it was, like it was early in the year. And for Elijah to stop him the way he did and put the punches together the way he did on that stage, the one thing that bothers me a little bit, it's not his fault. It's and I'm not even going to blame PBC for this. I'm going to blame boxing as a whole for this. We just don't have that culture like the UFC does, where people are packing the arena from the first fight on, right? It doesn't feel like a fight party till right before the main event. And we need to fix that. But that's I don't want to hear people blame the fans and all that. Look, they bought the ticket. I would get my money's worth and be there the whole night, but that's me.
Yeah.
But boxing has to do a better job of letting people know, yo, these undercards are worth it. Show up, and it's good for energy. It's good for the culture of boxing, because then more eyeballs would have seen Elijah Garcia's performance. And imagine that performance in front of like everybody was there, right? Like with the energy of the crowd, it would have been even better, you know. But it doesn't take away from what he did, and I thought it was a great performance.
Yeah, I did as well. I was impressed. Before we work our way further up the card, I want to mention this. Jai Opetaia is a scary individual, and I said this after watching the Maris fight. We're going to talk about this more on your podcast, I think, later in the week, because I want to have, I know you do too, we want to have like a real Australian conversation between, you know.
Well, the accent and everything.
They've got Australian. They've got something in the water over there, but he's a scary individual. And the only knock on him really is, I wouldn't say it's a knock, it's just 14-month layoff, but that was due to the injury. So people aren't familiar with him yet. And it doesn't help that he's in the cruiserweight division where there's no real American influence here. But he's a dude who I think in the future you'll see on a pound for pound list. That's a scary dude.
If he's not already, just really quick, I think you can make an argument. I don't agree with this, but some people are arguing that he's a better pound for pound fighter than Tim Tszyu. Based on the eye test, and he does have you could argue a bigger win in his division than Tim Tszyu. Like that win over Bredas is I think very highly of Bredas, right? Yeah. Bredas it's probably the best fight Usyk's ever had, to be honest with you. That's including the Joshua fight.
Bredas he's a physical specimen.
Yeah. So for him to win and win with the injury, Alex, on top of that, shows me like what type of grit he's got. The skills there. I've also heard from a birdie that he's been called by the Tyson Fury camp for training camp. So we know who he's preparing for. And Jai is you look at the frame, he's 6'2". He's got really good speed, especially for cruiserweight. He's got excellent speed, solid power for sure. He's a problem. Like there's no doubt about it. And I think we all understand Thompson was overmatched. You know what I mean? We all get that.
Yeah.
But what people need, like, everything's context. He recovered from the injury. He wanted to come back to the ring, and his purse bids, like, they fell off. You know what I mean? The opponent dropped out of the purse bid. The top guys were not ready to fight him yet. So Eddie Hearn and company, they found him an opponent in England. He went to foreign soil. and took care of business. I mean, it is what it is. That was a massive dude, and he took him out in spectacular fashion.
Yep. Um, so I said leading into this fight, and be transparent, I didn't know what to do with Ugas and Barrios. I really didn't because Ugas was coming off a horrific injury and a long layoff. And guys, it's a trend this year. The guys with long layoffs are not doing well this year.
Except Jai.
Yeah, except Jai. He did very well. Ugas coming off of an eye injury that was, just not good. And then Barrios, I didn't really know what to make of Barrios at 147 still. But this is a good win for Barrios. It was good. It was a dominating win performance for Barrios. It gets him in the conversation, right? He's coming back off the Keith Thurman loss, back-to-back losses. Um, and now he's got back-to-back wins. And
Can't hear you, Calix. Can you hear me? Yo, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can you guys hear Calix, or is it me?
you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead. Hello? Yeah, they can hear me, but not you. They just confirmed. Well, while Calix gets that fixed, I do agree with his take on Mario Barrios. Look, um, I'm not taking anything away from Mario Barrios. I think he's a solid fighter. I think he's good. He's a solid contender. I'm not going to say he's a leader, nothing like that. But this was a good win for him. But context, right? I saw the mouse in the eye very early in the fight. It was closing, and then it just started getting worse. So he couldn't see from that angle, and Mario Barrios took advantage of it, like you should, right? It's prize fighting. I thought it was a good fight up until it was getting a little uncomfortable to watch in the later rounds. I think they. I don't know what the fight doctor's thinking. Looking at the eye, and Ugas' eye is just literally just like shut, and the doctor's letting him go back out there. I like Ismael Salas, but again, what are you doing putting him back out there? I just didn't like it. You know what I mean? I didn't. I think the ref could have maybe stepped in. I think he took a lot of unnecessary damage in the fight, and I don't know. He's already up there in age. He's already had a rough career, right? In terms of he took a beating from Spence, for example, and look, I give him credit for being a warrior, and I could see from his perspective why he wants to keep fighting, but you got to protect the fighter from himself, and that's where the corner comes in. That's why we have the doctors ringside. That's why they're there. That's why you exist. That's why we have you there. We want you to look out for these fighters. If you stop that fight, maybe Ugas gets mad. Maybe he gets angry at you, and maybe he doesn't talk to his Salas for a couple of days, but he'll get over it, right?
You hear me good now, by the way?
Yes, here
All right,
loud
I'm
and
locked
clear.
in.
Okay.
All
There we
right.
go.
But I was good. But before I don't know how much of it you caught. Was Ugas overvalued coming in off the Pacquiao win? Was he a legit fighter who's just damaged goods, and Barrios took advantage of that? It's that type of thing, right? But to me, this legitimizes Barrios at 147. I think he's a legit welterweight now, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, I want to hear this in the chat, and I want your opinion on this. Jesus Ramos, because this is one of the stories of the night. How bad was this decision? How many people in the chat believe this was a robbery? Do you believe this was a robbery? Do you
Well,
blame more
before we get to
Ramos
that,
that
before we get to that, really quick, what's your opinion on the doctor allowing Ugas to still go out there? Are you okay with it? And they're not stopping the fight. I think Ugas took a lot of unnecessary damage in the fight.
as well? And I think you have to take everything into account, right? People who don't acknowledge that always bother me. And it's not just when you're talking about a ring doctor and a fighter. It's you have to take full context in. I say this about other sports. I think you can't call fouls the same way late in a fight that you late in the game that you do in the first, second, third quarter. I've always said that about like the NBA. I think you have to take full context, right? And that's my opinion on ring doctors and fighters. And the people who say referees as well, people who say, oh, they can't be scoring the fight. They're watching the fight, right? And I think you can observe when a guy is down 5, 6, 7 rounds, and then you have to take that into context. So if if the trainer is not doing his job, the trainer is clearly not doing his job by stopping the fight. He should be protecting the fighter. I think somebody else has to step in and say, all right,
Yeah.
this isn't a fight. This is not a fight. Come on, the fight's over. Let's stop the fight. And that's where I was with Ugas as well. Stop the damage from continuing throughout the fight. I'm with you.
100%. And I do want to, so in terms of the Ramos fight, look, I'm a fan of Ramos. I just want to make sure people understand that. And
Me
I'm
too.
high on Ramos. So a lot of this is because I think highly of him. I think he's a great fighter. He didn't fight the right fight. Um, and I think his corner did him a disservice with the advice they were giving him. I could see it from a tactical perspective. Like, okay, let's try to win this. Let's try to get the W. Let's try to, lock in the win. So let's go. I guess it was boxing's version of a prevent defense, right? Like basically what he did, and just coasted.
Yeah.
And that, and I want to make sure people understand he should have won the fight. Like Lubin did not win that fight, but
I agree. And I had the butt too. It's
yeah,
but
like even if he won, I was going to have the same critiques. You're not going to get that opportunity again to be on the pre-main of a Canelo massive pay-per-view that on a low end at least 700,000 people bought, at a high end a million, right? Like we're
show
talking.
out. Show
It's
out.
time to show out. The arena was starting to pack. You want people to leave that building, and you want to steal the show. You know what I mean? You want people to leave that building, be like, "Who's that Jesus Ramos kid?" Just like we were asking, "Who's that Canelo Alvarez kid?" When Mayweather fought Shane Mosley, right? People were asking about that kid. Who is that kid?
When he knocked out Baldomir, right? Nobody had knocked out Baldomir like
Well,
that.
even before that, when he knocked out Cotto's brother,
Yeah.
right? Now, granted, look, Lubin's better than Cotto's brother. I mean, I'm not, it is what it is. But you're 22 years old. You fought Mendoza already. You're more ready than Canelo was when Canelo was 19 years old on that undercard, right? Like it's time to pressure Lubin here. And how do you put the punches together better in the first half than you do the second half? I didn't like the advice. His corner kept telling, "Oh, you're up by 6 rounds. Don't worry." Basically telling him, "Don't even take any risk." And that is the opposite of what you want to show these fans. These fans, bro, this is not the time. Like this is not it.
I thought Ramos was gonna stop him coming in.
Yeah,
I was gonna stop
my
him.
parlays got fucked up because he didn't get the stoppage, and then it had a backup parlay in case he didn't stop him. It just had Ramos just winning, and that one went to shit too, right? I was like, what the fuck's going on, right? And I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing? Like, what is this corner telling him here? Go for it, bro. And here's the other thing. Like, I think he was just giving Lubin confidence the way he was fighting.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I didn't give him the last 4 rounds.
Why not just? I don't under. Sometimes you just want to talk to these young fighters coming up. It's not even. It's all of them. It's like this is your moment. Look around you. Look around you. Look where
Alex,
you are.
I interviewed the kid with Dave, by the way. Shout out to Dave, 408. I literally asked him about when he got the call, and he said, "Oh, I was dreaming about this. I was talking to people about, wouldn't it be great if I'm in the undercard of the Canelo fight, right?" He was saying, "I want those fans. I want to win over those fans. I know what's at stake here." Well, that's not how you win over the fans.
They have to know that, right? You have
Yeah,
to know.
it's boxing the sport. We all get that. But what makes boxing a little different than other sports, there is an entertainment factor to it, right?
You
That's
have to
very important, more
entertain.
important than other sports. So yes, you have to win, Ramos. But look, you lost.
Especially, dude. Especially the. It just feels to me like people take the Mexican American audience for granted. And I saw that with Ramos Saturday night. This is the best This is the best boxing audience out there. It's the best market. And if you can organically reach them, the sky is the limit. The sky's the limit. And you have a forgiveness there amongst the Mexican fans. As long as you pour your heart out there, you can still fight smart, but you have to try to reach those souls. And he had
He was
that
playing it
opportunity.
safe.
He had the opportunity to reach those souls on Saturday night, and he squandered it. And that's tough to see.
It wasn't good enough just to win. He had to go out there and put on a show, like put on. And ironically, I do think the way you get to Lubin is by pressuring him, right? I don't think Lubin likes pressure, and you could tell you looked uncomfortable early in that fight when Ramos was digging to the body, and I was like, oh, I honest to God, I was like, oh, Lubin's not gonna last half of this fight if this continues, and then
Mhm.
he just like started. At first, I was like, okay, maybe he's looking out for the counter because Lubin could punch hard, right? So maybe he's looking out for the count or something. But then I was like, okay, bro, we're already in round 6. Like, what's like, what are we doing? And then I don't know if your heart sunk, Alex. Mine sunk when I heard I think it's his dad, but his trainer told him, "Hey, stop trying to go for the knockout. Just
Yeah.
like don't worry about it." Like I'm just like, no, worry about it. Go out there and knock this dude out, or at least try, right? If he would have forced this dude in a firefight, he knocks him out, bro. There's no doubt in
Yep.
my mind. Like
Yep.
he knocks this dude out, and then he's the talk of the. When everybody's like trashing Jamal, Jamal didn't come to fight, man. I don't know about that fight, but that kid though, that Ramos kid, damn, right? And then for what? You played it safe. For what? They didn't even give you the nod. Like you didn't win the fight.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is, bro. I scored at 7. I don't know about you. I scored at 7-5 because I gave Lubin the last 4.
Yeah.
Like he just gave him it reminded me of Deloya Trinidad to a certain degree.
I know. I know.
That's what it reminded me of.
That's the
And
vibes I got too. And
like
Javier Martinez brings it up here. There's a specific word in this comment. It's passion. If you want to reach that Mexican base, Mexican American base, I'm telling you, you can fight any type of style. That whole Mexican fans want to see caveman style. It's lazy. What we're talking about is you need a certain passion. It doesn't matter your style. You need a passion. You need to show that you're in these things for the right reason. You want to reach that base, and he didn't. It just squandered it because the passion was there. The passion was lacking.
yeah, they were thinking like, okay, we're gonna strategically win this fight, right? And I guess in their minds, well, hey, we're already winning most of the rounds, so let's just like why risk it? Just go out there like nah, bro. Like you have to do more. You have to really go out there and show people why you're that dude.
Yeah.
Look, he was breaking like Lubin wasn't really doing anything. Like Lubin was a little like tentative in the fight, a little too tentative. And I think that was an opportunity. I know Joe B pointed this out to me. It's 100% true. Like there was times where Ramos like was just like in front of Lubin, just posturing and like not throwing, and Lubin just like against the ropes. I felt like he was breaking the guard very well with the uppercuts early on, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna bat at this dude, and then he just stopped throwing combinations when he had him against the ropes for some reason.
No.
Like there was a point he was just throwing at the most 2 punches at a time at the most, and I'm thinking to myself, is he trying to show people that he could box as well? That's not how he fights. I'm glad you have other elements to your game. That's great. And if you want to have one round like that to give them a different look, or just implement that a little bit, fine. But at the end of the day, at your core, right? Like Jesus Ramos could be anyway, in my opinion, is a very good pressure fighter, right? Who can also box, and that makes him very dangerous. But where was the pressure? And he's also a really good combination puncher. Where were the combinations? Like at some point, you gotta like go for it and overwhelm Lubin. You know what I mean? Like Canelo could have coasted. He could have coasted that Jamal fight, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Right? And I think Canelo has the experience to know if you start coasting, we've seen it happen. Like they will not give you the fight. There's times where judges will screw you over. You're almost giving them a reason to screw you over because people will not feel sorry for you. So I'm very disappointed, Alex. Like if I knew for a fact that that's the best Ramos could do, then I would live with it. But that's not the best he could do. It just isn't. You know what I mean? And think about what if he would have knocked Lubin out. Think about everything that was at stake. We're talking about a Tim Tszyu fight possibly next year, right? Well, we're talking about a fight probably over there in Australia among a big, massive crowd. Maybe here in the States, I know for a fact Tim's team wants to fight in the States again, right? Like they really do. So maybe you win over that crowd and you get a buzz behind you. Maybe Tim Tszyu's like, yo, let's go fight this dude. He's got a buzz behind him right now. Let's go, right? Whatever it is, there was a lot at stake. In my opinion, what they got to do with Ramos is this. This is what I would do. I would put him in the ring with a towering inferno next. That's what I would do, right? Because you know what's going to happen in that fight?
He's going to be forced to fight.
He's going to be forced to fight. And I think he's going to, if he's not a believer in his own power, he's going to become one in this fight. He's going to be forced to fight. And I think he'll win over a lot of the people that he lost. Just to give you an idea, where I saw this fight, people couldn't stop saying how boring the fight was. And that's very unfortunate because both Lubin and Ramos have been in some very exciting fights.
Yeah.
It was very unfortunate. And Ramos, for Ramos especially, because, I mean, he's young. He could have become a superstar overnight. And unfortunately squandered it by listening to the advisor's corner was giving him. And with that game plan they had, I wasn't a fan of it. And hopefully they learn from it. And that's all we could hope for, you know?
On paper, that there's no way that should have been a boring fight. And they turned it into that. In the market, I'm telling you, the market is not going to be kind to that because he lost me. He lost me on Saturday night.
People were saying that fight was a parlay breaker. It fucked up a lot of people's parlays. A lot of people's parlays got fucked up because of that result of that fight. And many people had the parlay with a knockout for Ramos, right? Like I told you, I did too. I had to back up in case he doesn't get the knockout, right? The odds were nowhere near as good, but I was like, well, at least I'll win something. So my money went down the drain. Like, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. Did you have a parlay with the fight?
I didn't do a parlay Saturday night. Okay. I did have a straight bet on it, and
like I didn't put Ugas Ramos on my parlays because I was like, that's too risky. But I did bet. I did end up betting Barrios, and then with the winnings of that fight, I bet Canelo KO 6-12, and that didn't hit either. So I lost all across the board.
So did you give Charlo a round in this fight? Because
no.
I got it wrong coming in. We both were confident Canelo wins, right? But we're both confident Canelo is going to outclass Charlo. But the issue that we got wrong, I'll just throw myself in it. I thought he was the type of dude. He's not going to bend the knee. He did that. He's not going to get on his bike and go in survival mode. Did that. I did not see survival mode Charlo like before this. I did not see a dude who would go into survival mode. I saw a dude that would go out on his sword. And Canelo makes these fighters. It's one thing they're going to have to give Canelo at some point, his haters, or not. They'll just continue to look stupid. He makes fighters behave in a way that was not them coming in. And Charlo adds to that list. We didn't see survival mode Charlo coming in. It's the reason people were picking late stoppage is he's going to go out on his shield. He's going to go out on his sword. And he didn't. He went into survival mode Charlo. D-style, this dude, leading up to the fight, said nothing bad about Canelo. Every other fight going into the fight, he's talking trash, lying energy, lying energy, lying. You know, he's trying to start fights. And then against Canelo, docile. And you're thinking, okay, maybe he's got something up his sleeve here, right? Maybe he just doesn't want to bring that energy out of Canelo. And, you know, he's stoic in this fight, showing stoicism, art of war. And then he gets in there and behaves in the ring how he was behaving leading up to this fight. He's docile. What is this? What is this? What happened to this Slick dude who was talking trash for years and then talking trash on Instagram. I'll beat this dude. He's nobody. I'll beat this dude. The Charlos, right? And then Jamal Charlo gets slapped up in the tunnel a couple months ago. And then this Charlo goes in the ring and gives up 12 rounds and doesn't go out on his sword, goes into survival mode and gets a quick check, big money for a sparring session. He's a sparring partner in there. And you got to watch this and pay money for this. What happened to the lion energy? What happened? What happened to all of these narratives coming in that you heard them? Canelo doesn't fight slick black fighters. Canelo doesn't fight slick fighters. He's not going to beat, he can't beat the Charlos. So you're asking him to name the slick fighters. It's Charlo. And Charlo, that's who it is. And then they get in the ring and what happens? Canelo's slicker for one. And we tried to tell you Canelo's more technical. He's the better boxer. He's slicker. He's better all around than Charlo. He's more athletic. Try to tell you. Try to tell you. And now you're going to see the backtracking. But what in the hell was that on Saturday night? How do you talk all that trash and then the fight is signed and then you stop talking trash and then you get in the ring? Survival mode. This was disgusting. What was that?
Where do I start? You want to get the super chat real quick?
Edwin Castillo, $5 super chat. Calix, the minstrel monster, no-showed and already jumped into the body bag. This is the real Canelo. Demolish the non-combination.
and really
Edwin
quick,
loves. Edwin loves David Benavidez. Manny en vivo. Moreto, Wepa, good stuff, guys. In vivo. Appreciate it.
En vivo. Shout out to you, brother. I appreciate the support. Look, Calix, we are. I don't understand what this dude literally trained when he was training when Joan Guzman. I was like, I wonder what this is about. Like, because Charlo's not like a defensive type boxer, but who knows? Maybe he's touching up on his defense. Nothing wrong with that, right? I think he literally just trained to go to distance. He did not train to win. He trained so he could survive this fight. That's what he trained for. He bragged about it. He was happy, smiling ear to ear, like, hey, I didn't get knocked out like these other guys, right? Like that's what you're bragging about. That's it. That's your that's it. No, like you went, like you didn't try to win. You came to survive. I think maybe he thought maybe I'll give it a go, but after like round 2, he was like, okay, I'm good. Look, I ain't gonna win this fight. I think he felt that power. I think Canelo looked a lot faster with his hands. He looked a lot quicker than him with the upper body. And I'm going to be honest with you, Calix, for all, like, you got the Malinazis of the world, like, oh, his feet are slow like molasses. And we all understand that Canelo isn't like Ray Robinson in his feet. We all get he's not quick on his feet. But, like, Charlo's feet didn't look any faster than Canelo's. I just want to put that out there.
Because they're not.
They're not faster.
I want people to know, the ones who might not have been around on my channel the past couple of years, I'm a Charlo fan. I'm a Jamel Charlo fan. You know this. This hurt my heart on Saturday.
Where was the
dragon energy? How many times have I told you, D-Style? Jamel is the type of dude who walks into the room and he changes the temperature. He's got dragon energy. He walked into that room with Canelo every single time and was docile.
The first time he had a sweater.
He was docile.
He had a sweater in the ring
press
conference, bro.
Hold on. I'm watching the ring entrance, and I see the Santa Fe clan out there, who you love, by the way, mumble rappers. But just kidding.
They're not mumble rappers, bro. They don't mumble. I'm gonna put that out there. You know what I mean?
But anyway, I'm watching them.
They got bars, bro. Those got bars.
Mexico, and Mel is just standing there. I'm watching him just standing there. I wanted that dragon energy to come out. I wanted him to go in a firefight with Canelo. I wanted those hands to let go. And then I see survival mode Mel. And I'm like, no, if anything is going to hurt his legacy. Look, the daring to be great thing is out of the window now. It's out of the window because you don't dare to be great fighting like that. And he had that going in. It's like a no-loss situation, right? Because if he loses, and he fights the way he always fights, and he loses. He stepped up and wait. But to do it like that, The dragon energy is gone. Even Bud Crawford is sitting ringside and saying, I don't want to fight this dude now. I don't want to fight that. What is this? This is the dude y'all been hyping up. Him, Maul, Boo Boo as the Canelo killers for years. And then we get 120 to 107.
Alex, they were saying that he took the easier deal last year. Oh, he's going to go fight that Eurobone Bivol because he don't want no part of Charlo. Are you kidding me? Like, why? Because they're European? That's why? Right after the Ryder fight, oh Canelo, what's up, bitch, Canelo? Let's do it. Like, talking shit on Instagram and shit. Ryder actually stood in the pocket and traded with the dude. All right, that's why Ryder had damage in his face. He was actually fighting. Like Billy Joe Saunders actually gave Canelo a little mouse right here because he was fighting. Billy Joe was fighting back. Plant was fighting. He was trying to win.
Yeah.
Oh, he did better than that because he didn't get knocked out. Because they were fighting. If Plant showed up and said, well, I'm not going to try to win. I'm just gonna coast it. Yeah, he wouldn't have won no rounds, right? He would have lost every round. He could have, I went the distance. What good is that? You have to actually look at the fight. This dude tried to survive. This dude didn't come to win, and his feet are no faster than Canelo's. Okay, like I'm just gonna put that out there. All the talk I heard, okay, he's too athletic, and Canelo's avoiding the athleticism, and this, that, and the third. And, like I didn't see any of it. I don't think Jermell Charlo's gonna be all right. Okay, I don't think he's gonna be like doing those. Would you fear him in the court, Calix?
No.
Would you fear him in the court?
No.
You think he's got a nice fadeaway? Like Jermell Charlo? Jermell? No? Look, I've been here for years how Canelo's avoiding him because we all know why. He avoids a certain type of fighter. Like, okay, well, that's the dumbest shit I ever heard, bro. Let me tell you something. You know who's more athletic? And I'll just say it, a better fighter than this dude? Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs put out a better fight. Danny Jacobs was one of the three kings at middleweight when it was Canelo, him, and Triple G. And all those guys fought each other, by the way. Okay? Now, Danny Jacobs got the short end of the stick. The two times he fought, it is what it is. No shame in losing to Triple G and Canelo, though. And I'll tell you what, he was trying to win, and he got disowned, Calix. He got disowned because he didn't win. And people were accusing him of packing it in and not trying to win, right? What the fuck did Charlo just do? Oh, he didn't fight the real American. If he gets in there with Jermell, that's what I'm really talking about, right? And we had channels out here spreading that shit, okay? There was people saying that Danny Jacobs wasn't black.
Oh.
Because I'm like, what do you mean he hasn't fought a black dude? He just fought Danny Jacobs. Oh, you don't count. Well, what do you mean you don't count? Well, you don't count. Oh, he's a disgrace to his race. Like, what? What are you talking about? Why? Well, because... he came in and he didn't try to win. Like it's the dumbest shit. Or maybe he just lost to someone who was very difficult to beat. Okay, and fucking Canelo Alvarez. Maybe that's all it was at the end of the day, right? I'm just getting sick and tired of a lot of the dumb shit we've been hearing for years. And then they don't even want to eat their crow, bro. All the talk we've been hearing, and now, oh, Canelo was too big. Oh, Canelo, the size was too much. Oh, he went. How do you know size was too much if he didn't fight? How do you know the size was too much if he didn't try to fight? He just went on survival mode.
Uh-huh.
I think what happened was, I just think Canelo's just too good. I saw Canelo beat him with skill.
Yep. This was a skill thing. This was the better boxer by far winning, the better fighter by far winning. You're seeing levels to this. This is levels to this. That's levels right there. Canelo's levels ahead of the Charlos. Levels ahead. And these were supposed to be the stylistic nightmares for Canelo Alvarez.
And we got to hear dudes like Leonard Allerby, by the way, like beginning interview by, I think it was Fight Hype, right? And then he's like, Bibel's all right. Bibel's okay. But Jermell is just another animal. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, really? You think he's another animal? For real? You still feel that way? So the guy that beat Canelo's okay, but this dude was the real deal, right? Yeah. I mean, you can't make this up, bro. And it goes back to this. this American exceptionalism that a lot of fight fans have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Jermell, you know, well, Jermell's an exception because Jermell did prove himself at 154, right? But a lot of American fighters in general are just anointed. You know what I mean? And fighters like Bivol, fighters like Tim Tszyu, fighters that are not from the United States, they need to do more to prove to the American fight fans that they're the real deal, right? Every single time, right? If Harrison beats Tim Tszyu, that means Tim Tszyu was a hype job the whole time. But if he beats Harrison, that just means he's a real deal, right? It's never the other way around. It's maybe in a lot of these cases, guys, maybe it's the American fighters that are the hype jobs. Maybe it's the American fighters that have been packaged a certain way, right? And because you guys haven't been anointing them. I think there's been a lot of projection going on by a lot of American fight fans over the years, quite frankly, right? And that's what we're seeing right here, quite frankly. I mean, look, I kept, you know how many dudes were like saying shit like, oh, what a mistake by Canelo. Oh, he's going to get it this time. If he struggled with Bivol, imagine what Jermell's going to do. Like they lived in this planet where they literally felt like whatever Bivol did, like Jermell could do and then some, because he's just inherently a better athlete than Bivol, just because he's a black dude from the U.S. Like by definition, that's not how it works, right? You are who you are in that ring. We all understood what Jermell was. Jermell didn't fight like himself, okay? He fought to survive. And the reason, and you said it, Calix, I picked him to win by stoppage. I honestly felt Jermell was going to bring it. I honestly felt he was going to try to win that fight. I thought angry Jermell was going to come out. He was going to try to win that fight, okay? And be willing to show out in order to win, okay? And great fighters do that. Even in losses, they do it. You could say whatever you want about Lomachenko. He was down big on the cards against Teofimo, and he made a decision in round 7. He said, you know what? I got to show out. If this continues, I'm just going to get swept, 12-0. I got to do something different. He made an adjustment, and he made it a fight and won some of those rounds later in that fight, right? And then Teo had to bite down and win that 12th, right? He never forced Canelo to bite down and do something. Canelo looked bored, bro.
Yeah.
See what Canelo, like he landed a right hand on Canelo, right? I think it was the 8th. And Canelo just like puts his hands down and even his shoulders drop. And he just like looks at him like, that's it, motherfucker. Like that. I waited 8 rounds for you to do that. That's it. But like I could picture him thinking that in his head, bro. I'm saying.
This hurt my heart, D-Style. First of all, let me get to Nando Super Chat once again. Appreciate it, Nando. Maybe the whole PBC crew knows they're on their last days. Not easy going to work, facing layoffs, and maybe they're in there for paychecks. I don't know. But I said it after the fight last night. One of my first tweets was, to me, this is almost like an exhibition circuit for Canelo. I think when he saw the criticism he was getting last year and into this year, when it was B-Vol and then they were talking about going to Matchroom again, he's saying, why not just go over there and take the easier deal for a lot of money? It'll please American fight fans. I really think he sees this deal as a much easier deal. I mean, I'm watching Mel on Saturday night. The one thing I at least thought I was going to get from him, and I said, if I get that from him, fine. He's daring to be great. No shame in losing. You're stepping up in weight, yada, yada. And he doesn't even give that. He just lays down for Canelo. Yep. It was so, as a Mel fan, it was so frustrating to watch. It's like, dude, 7th round, 8th round. Are you going to do it like this round? Are you going to come out? Maybe you're preserving energy. I don't know. And it just didn't happen. And you're like, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, is the PBC stable as a whole just all smoke and mirrors? I don't know how else to look at it. Like, American fight fans do this thing of building up fighters, and they're building up Mel, right? Mel had this great undisputed run, and then they'll build up Maul, and then they'll build up David Benavidez is the new one, right? And David Benavidez is the monster. They're building up these fighters, and what happens is they get in the ring with Canelo, and you're like, There's still a gap. There's still a gap. I'll acknowledge, like, there's a decline, natural decline, right? If you're in 64 fights, it's going to be a natural decline. So he's on a decline, and there's still a clear gap between Canelo and these guys. There's still a big, huge gap between Canelo and Mel. There's going to be a gap. If he gets in there with Maul, there's going to be a gap. 168 down. This is what people are going to have to come to grips with. Is Canelo still that dude?
I'll say this. When Tim Tszyu went out there and he dominated Harrison, right? Some people like they and I could see why they did this, but in their minds, they rationalized the dominating performance by saying, "Oh, he's not the same anymore. It's not the same Harrison. Look, Harrison's not that old. Like, you know what I mean? He hasn't been in all these wars. He's not like you know what I mean? But okay, fine. But was it that, or was it that maybe Harrison was in a competitive but not an elite division? Like, there was a lot of fights getting made. A lot of these guys were fighting each other, but they weren't exactly elite fighters, right? And Jermell just happened to be the one that came out of that crop, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it had more to do with that, quite frankly. And I think the American fight fan made that division more than what it really was, because there was a lot of American fighters in it, and especially
147
PBC.
too, right?
Yeah,
like Errol's the guy who came out of that.
Yeah, like a lot of PBC fighters, a lot of so people just, for whatever reason, were like, well, that division is for real because it has Americans and it has PBC fighters and they're all fighting each other. So, which, by the way, I'm not complaining that they were fighting each other. I think what Mel did was great in that division, but you have to question the level of fighter there. Like, was Hurd really that dude like that? Was J-Rock that dude like that?
Or was Ugas that dude? Was Porter that dude? You know,
I agree. Like, we have to question those things, because
and then we find out what happened. These guys are in a bubble, and then they meet Canelo and Bud, and then there's a huge gap. It's Canelo and Bud.
And here's the thing, like Andrade, I keep hearing about how great Andrade's been a huge favorite in almost all his fights, but I remember like Martirosyan gave him a good fight. Like I remember these things. And I'm thinking to myself, how good is that dude really? Now, he's not really a PBC product, although he was with PBC, then Matchroom or whatever. But look how people treated Ryder, right? Who went into fights as an underdog and pulled off the upsets. And it's just, by definition, I don't know who he is, or he's European, so he's a Euro bum, and that's it, right? And because he hit Canelo back a couple times, people are like, oh, Canelo's on the slip. He's not the same. If he could barely handle Ryder, he's ripe for the pickings. You know what I mean? Imagine what Charlo will do to him. Really? I don't think Charlo can beat Ryder at 168. I don't. I would favor Charlo in that fight. I'm sorry, Ryder in that fight.
I would too.
I don't think he would. I don't think Charlo could fuck with Callum Smith at 168.
I'd pick Ryder over Maul at 168 too. I do.
Yeah, like people got to start acknowledging, bro. And now I got to think. I remember like the good boxing match that look, Jacobs Canelo is an example that a boxing match with skill could be exciting to watch, right? When both guys are trying and there's no clinching involved, a boxing match could be fun to watch. But I mean, look how Jacobs Ryder went, and I feel like, you know, maybe that win for Ryder has aged very well. Like a lot, like I just think it aged very good for him. You know, so and he took Andrade's spot. Andrade didn't want to fight for the mandatory. It is what it is, right? I am in favor. Like PBC has not, and you mentioned this, Calix, hasn't helped their case either by hoarding their fighters and just waiting to feed them to guys like Crawford and Canelo. Like, you know what I mean? That's not helping them.
No.
You know, but I could see the business model behind it. One can argue, but Al's a genius. Mal could retire for the rest of his life, and that's how okay. That's good for Jermell, but what the fuck does that do for us as boxing fans?
It's the huge flaw in the model, and people are like, Calix, why do you always talk about it? It's the huge flaw in the model, and it's why it can't work. Is it's all smoke and mirrors. It only takes you so far. You can't build a star that way. You can't trick the market for all so long. It only works until a certain point, until they get in there with the fighter, and then it all collapses like the Berlin Wall. And that's what happened Saturday. It's what you saw Saturday night. It's like this was never going to work. There's a reason the Charlo brothers aren't stars. There's a real reason they don't sell pay-per-views. You saw it Saturday night. You saw the levels there. You saw it's not just the weight. He's not anywhere close to the boxer, the athlete that a Canelo Alvarez is. And because of the business model, just because there's a gap in talent, entertainment value can make up for that, right? You can have an entertaining fighter be just as much of a star if you can make some sort of connection with the market. And the business model does not allow for that. It does not allow for activity. It does not allow for putting fights where they belong. It's not a sustainable model. And it's the problem with David Benavidez right now is, had you just put this guy in fights, he didn't need Canelo. He didn't need him. And this guy could have been closer to Canelo's level at this point. Now he needs Canelo. Now everything David Benavidez does, every step of the way, they talk about Canelo, 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 because now they realize they need Canelo because they squandered 9 years. It's the frustrating part about this model because you like some of these fighters. I want to like Benavidez. I want to like Tank.
I do
Why
like
would I not
Benavidez,
want to like marketable fighters who are exciting to watch? But the market, the model does not allow for it. A real boxing fan is not going to, unless we have some sort of other connection, surface level connection to these fighters, there's no way I'm going to like those fighters. Why? They're not giving me anything to like. It's the frustrating
and now it's like Canelo's probably thinking, man, if it's this easy, fuck it, line them up. Like don't fight each other because then I will run out of opponents. Just wait. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if you're all just gonna wait, shit, fuck it. Like he took no bro. Canelo come back in December if he wants. I mean, but here's the difference between Jermell and Ryder. Jermell felt that power very early.
Yeah,
and packed it in. He was like, "Oh, I'm good." Right? We even saw him take a knee. He bent the knee to his king. You know what I mean? Like did you see him when he bent the knee for Canelo? Like to people think he was hurt. No, I just think he felt like bending the knee to him. You know what I mean? And appreciating him, for a moment. But I saw Ryder get hurt and knocked down, right? And that Eurobomb, okay, showed a lot of heart. He got back up, and you know what he did? He kept.
I thought that fight was over in that fourth round. I did in Mexico, and Ryder
was like Rocky. Like, do you remember when Duke is telling Apollo Creed, like, I saw you hit that man with everything, and that man just kept coming. That was Ryder in that fight. He just kept getting up, and Canelo was hitting this dude with everything but the kitchen sink, and Ryder was grabbing the kitchen sink and throwing it right back at Canelo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yes, Ryder didn't win that fight. Yes, Canelo won wide on my scorecard, right? But that's not the point. My point is, look how the dude went out. Like he was willing to get knocked out if that's what it took, because he was trying to win. And he was doing it, by the way. He went and did that in Canelo's backyard, by the way, not in a neutral site like Vegas. He did that in his hometown, right? He went there and he tried to take it to Canelo in the Lion's Den. Okay. Yeah. And I give him nothing but props. And because of that, whenever I hear, Ryder's going to fight, guess what I'm going to do that day? I'm going to tune in. I'm going to watch Ryder fight. Okay. Because that's just it. Jermell, I'm still going to watch. But boy, man, has he lost some steam.
Man, if he would have just fought, it's the same thing you say about Ramos, right? If he would have just fought, he could have made a connection there. You have countless examples of that in boxing, to where the B-side fighter shows up, he's fighting in front of the A-side fighter's crowd, and then you actually gain fans because they respect you after you fight a certain way.
In my opinion, this is my opinion, but I believe this. Plant stock rose after the Canelo fight. Even though he got stopped, his stock rose. Right?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to get embarrassed. I thought Canelo was going to embarrass him. And it was, but he made it a fight for at least the first 6 rounds, right?
Yep.
And he was there to win. Yeah, he had that moment where I think he kind of knew where it was going, so he started talking to Canelo, hoping Canelo backed off. But
do you love me, Canelo? Do you love me, Canelo?
Like that doesn't work, guys. Like you know what I mean? Like Charlo tried it before the fight, and Canelo said, like, look, I'm still gonna go out, like I'm still gonna like, beat you up, dude. Like it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Canelo's old school in that sense. Like, yo, I'm gonna show up and do my work, whether I like you, dislike you. I'm gonna do the same thing. You know what I mean? But my point is, his stock rose even in defeat, right? Like him getting knocked down and running across the ring and telling the ref, yeah, and then getting knocked down again and trying to get back up, even though it was over. At least you could say, hey, you know what? Like Plant went out on a shoe. You know what I mean? Like you could at least say that. You can't say that about Jamal,
No.
right? You just can't say it. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was just flat out wrong. I thought Jamal was that guy. And I fully expected. Just imagine a post-fight interview. Okay, let's say he gets stopped, but let's say he won like 3-4 rounds at least, right? Landed some really good right hands on Canelo. It just couldn't hurt him. Canelo takes him out, right? And then after the fight, he's like, "Hey, man, I was going to go out on my shield. I told you I'm a lion." Like it's just that would have been a bigger moment for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But instead, he's like, "Well, at least I didn't get knocked out."
That's the weird part. That's the weird part. I would have never expected that from Mel. Never. I can never again. It kills me. I can never again say this dude has dragon energy. Never would I.
Could you imagine a lion in the jungle, like just being content, right? Like, hey, you didn't come back with the food. Your pride's gonna starve. Yeah, but at least I didn't get killed like the other lion. You got stopped. You got ran over by the fucking elephants and shit. You know what I mean? I'm good. Like, nah, bro. Like, your lion's only go hunt. Go
I
hunt.
thought something was gonna happen. I thought, oh, maybe he's just, playing possum here, and then he's gonna hop into the ring, and then he's gonna turn it on then. And then he didn't. And then after the fight, he's calling Canelo a beast and an ox. I'm like, what is this? Well, at least I didn't get knocked out. I went 12. It's like, bro, no, that's not why we follow you.
It's almost like Canelo starred a fan, bro.
Yeah, your fan base, me, your fan base. And I think I speak for your fan base is the reason we like you is it's not because we think you're this pound for pound guy. I mean, whether people put you in the top 10 you or not, whatever. The reason people follow you is your 154 run was fun because what did I call Mel before the fight? An overachiever, right? To me, he's an overachiever. He had a tough run because it looked tough because I think his ceiling's not as high. But he goes out there and he's a dog. And then he goes in the ring Saturday night and he's the opposite. He's a cat, right? He's not even lying, none of that. He laid down. And that can't happen. That can't happen. And never did I expect that. Never. That's the part I didn't expect. I expected him to be outclassed. I expected him to lose. I expected him to lose by late stoppage. Never did I expect him to lay down.
You know what? I should have trusted Canelo's sixth sense. Look, because I swear to God, I was thinking, man, when the bell rings, like Jamal shouldn't be game. I honestly felt that way. But Canelo he kind of alluded to it before the fight. It was like, he's being fake. Like he's fake. Like he kept calling him a fake, and he's like, he's gonna see. He's gonna respect my skills. I think he kind of knew he was gonna give him a boxing lesson, and he kind of knew this guy was not gonna bring it. I think Canelo knew it going in, and it's whatever to him, obviously, right? But here's the thing. You remember the cartoon Scooby-Doo?
Yeah.
Remember when they would catch the ghost and they would like unmask him? It was just like a regular dude, like, you know what I mean? Like it was the teller it was like there's nobody, you know what I mean? I feel like that's what happened, like, in this fight. You know what I mean? Like Canelo just like unmasked him. He took off the lion, like the lion mask. You know what I mean? And it was just like a little kitty. You know what I mean? It was just like a little cute kitty. You know, that's what it was.
There was a lion, and then he unmasked it as a cute kitty.
And then he just took out. Wait a minute. Look at that mask, motherfucker. And then he's like, meow, meow, meow. Like you know what I mean? Like, what the hell's going on? Or do you remember? Have you seen that meme of the cat that they brought in to take out the mouse? And then when the mouse is running around, the cat's like trying to get out, like, ah, like, and they're saying you lied on your resume. Like, so
Yeah.
now you put on your resume for the fight that you're a lion. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said, lions only. You know what I mean? That's what you put on your resume. I think you were lying on your resume, bro. I think somebody lied on the resume.
But this is the thing, D style, and this is what the Canelo, we've talked about Canelo derangement syndrome and the Canelo haters, and this is the issue they constantly have is we've talked about how they're not fans of certain fighters. They're just fans of guys who are seemingly a threat to Canelo, right? And then they're going to build those threats up to once you see the fight, they're not that guy, right?
Yeah.
And this is the issue they have is you're building these guys up before the fight. And then after the fight, you either have to do one of two things. You have to either say, all right, that guy is not who we thought. And then you start to take stock in this and say, okay, this guy's not the guy you thought. That guy's not, that guy's not, that guy's not, that guy. So obviously you can't evaluate talent. If all these guys you thought were this guy ended up not being that guy, then you can't evaluate talent. Or, and I think this is more of their go-to move, they, instead of doing that, you have to do one of two things. The second thing you have to do is say, okay, they were those guys, but Canelo is so much better. They can't do that. Why can't they do that? Because they can't come out and say Canelo's an all-time great. They just can't. Can't come out and say Canelo's special because that just destroys everything that they want to believe.
Yeah,
That's the frustrating part. So their go-to move instead is to tear these guys down after the fight, right?
yeah.
But once again, the problem with that is you were obviously wrong going into the fight about
Yeah,
these guys.
Teddy Atlas is a classic
Perfect example.
It's happening like in real time. You know, like so before the fight, I don't think there's a size difference. In fact, I think Jermel's bigger. He was saying, Canelo's slipping. He don't look the same. I think Jermel's gonna box him, but Canelo's friends are gonna give him the fight. That was his prediction, by the way. The guy literally alluded that Canelo's paying off judges. Like, bro, like that's serious, bro. Like this is not just some random YouTuber here saying like this is someone who people for whatever reason still revere as you know when it comes to his opinion, right? So and then after Canelo wins, oh, it was a size. It was just too big and strong. Teddy, come on, Teddy. You know what I mean? Like what's going on? What's going on here?
Teddy, Paulie, same thing, Paulie.
Yeah. Like what's going on? I haven't heard Paulie's take. Maybe Paulie was more fair. I don't know. I don't know what Paulie has said afterwards. But when it comes to Teddy, he just whatever he could take away, he'll take away. You know what I mean? So how do you take away this win? Well, you just say, well, he only won because he's bigger and stronger. You know what I mean? But I have the memory of an elephant. I remember when Teddy was saying that Haddon was the big man, not Mayweather in their fight, even though Haddon was the one moving up. And his reasoning was, well, look, Floyd started at 130. Haddon started at 140. Even though he's the one moving up, I mean, why Canelo started lower weight class than Charlo? Like I mean, you could do it. Like it applies here too, Teddy. All right. What's up, Teddy? Like, and then look, I love a lot of these Mexican legends, and obviously Mexico has a rich boxing history. But if you don't have Canelo in your top 5 Mexican fighters of all time, you're either you don't know what you're talking about or you're capping. I'm just going to put that out there. Fernando Vargas just came out the other day and said, look, man, whoever doesn't have this guy at the top when it comes to like, or one of the top, you're not being like the way he worded is, if I were to say he wasn't at the top, I wouldn't be solid. Like I wouldn't be truthful. You know what I mean? And
I saw an interview with him too after the fight, and he said anybody 168 down, it doesn't matter. Canelo is easily going to beat him. That's what Fernando Vargas said.
Yeah, like I just and I agree 100%. And maybe like you know what they don't realize, like,
and he said it too, D-Style. He said Benavidez is the homie. Still, I'm picking Canelo.
Yeah, like here's the thing, and this is where, and you've touched on this before, like these guys have a very high standard for Canelo and don't even realize their standard. Like, so literally what you're saying is Canelo cannot be the bigger guy because that's just unfair, right? Is essentially what you're saying. He has to be the smaller guy in order for it to be fair, right? That's why Teddy never brought up that Bivens bigger than Canelo. He never brought up that Kovalev was bigger. He never brought up that Ryder is bigger. He never brought up like Callum Smith was bigger. All he did was shit on those opponents. What he did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and it's unfortunate, right? But it's whatever to me. But I just don't understand. And look, I'm a fan of Lomachenko as well, but if I use the same standard for Lomachenko that Teddy uses for Canelo, right? Meaning just highlight his losses, which I think is a dick move to do to a fighter, quite frankly. If I were to do that to Canelo, I'm sorry, to Loma, I'm going to make Loma sound like he's not even like a great fighter. Well, what do you mean?
Yeah.
He lost to Salido. He lost to Teofimo. He lost to Haney. He lost, like I don't know. That's 3 losses already. Like, because that's what he does to Canelo. Like, oh, Canelo lost to Floyd. He lost to Bivol, and he should have lost to Triple J. And it's like he's overrated. Like, it's like even if you do think he lost to Triple J, what does that mean? Like, Triple J is a great fighter. Like, I mean, it's just weird. Okay, he lost to Floyd. Nobody beat Floyd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the whole thing's weird, bro. And I'm going to say it right now. I put Canelo above, and I know people are going to get mad at it, but it's whatever. I put Canelo above Marquez.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, he doesn't have a bigger win than Marquez. Marquez will always have that fourth Pacquiao fight. I will not take that away from him. But overall career, right, I already think he surpassed Marquez. And he's not done. That's the other thing. He's not even done yet. If he adds longevity, like if Canelo's still doing this thing, I don't know if he will or won't, but if he's still doing this thing past the age of 36, right, he'll have that under his belt, which like a Chavez didn't have. If he adds longevity, that's still something he could add on top of it. Whether he will or won't, I don't know. But I rate him above Morales, and Morales is my favorite fighter of all time. Like, I just do. People could bring up whatever they want on me. Like, I think he's better than Zarate. I think he's better than Saldivar. I think he's better than a lot of those dudes that Teddy was reading off of that stupid list he was reading. All right. like, is he above Chavez? No. Is he above Salvador Sanchez? No. Barrera is debatable. You know what I mean? But it's debatable. And if you say that, they act like it's blasphemy. Like, what? Because he lost to Floyd, he can't surpass these dudes? Well, what does that mean? Barrera lost twice to Junior Jones. He got stopped by Junior Jones. So spare me, bro. Like, it's whatever to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So a few observations. I said earlier in the year, and this isn't a pat in the back. It's just I think it was obvious early in the year. And we've said, how many times have we said, anytime a fighter wins a big fight, the trainer gets too much credit. Anytime big loss, the trainer gets too much criticism for the most part anyway. So when you build up a trainer in 2022 as a Derek James as the trainer of the year, right? You could argue he's got it, right? But 2023, we said at the beginning of the year when these matchups start to develop, this is going to turn out to be the opposite type of year for Derek James. His fighters are going to lose the big fights. So let's see if he starts to get the criticism that's equal to the praise he got last year. This is just the way it is. And Derek James's fighters are not having good years this year. Just an observation. People can do with that what they want. Also, another observation, Benavidez was not in the crowd as far as I know on Saturday. So we'll see what happens with that, though. I'd like to see more pressure applied. But we'll see what happens with that. And the reason I bring that up is at this point, after watching Saturday night, it's clear that, look, if you 120 to 107 to Charlo, anybody else does that. It speaks to the ways that Canelo is judged as opposed to other fighters, right? And people think highly of Canelo, even though they may not admit it. Obviously, Canelo's still got enough left in the tank. Fernando Vargas said it. I'd pick Canelo over anybody at 168. And he didn't even blink. Even at this, even 64 fights in. After Saturday night, anything change with you? Would you rather see a Bud fight over Benavidez fight, Benavidez over Bud? And does Canelo have more in the tank than you thought going into this fight, or
I
is
don't
it
want to
what you thought?
see the. I don't. I just don't. It's never really interested me, bro. The Crawford Canelo fight. It's never interested me.
Yeah.
I have very little interest in it.
I want
To
the
be quite frank,
Benavidez fight. I want the
I want the
Benavidez.
Benavidez fight, and I think that's a fight that fight fans should be asking for,
Yeah.
demanding. Quite frankly, Benavidez Canelo May 5th, Mexican Independence Day. I'm sorry, that's not what I'm talking about. It's not Mexican. That's September, but it's still a big fight day. Cinco de Mayo, the Battle of Puebla when they beat up the French. You know, everybody has to celebrate when you beat up the French. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. But I've always wanted to like the Mexican fight to fight a French fighter on that day, just to like no, but
I
no,
still think Bud would be a big fight. I
it would.
do, but it comes off as kind of novelty for me, and I just think you gotta stop pushing. They gotta stop. I know what the PBC loves doing this, and I know they're gonna put it. I just feel like they're gonna put this as the third fight, Canelo Benavidez in September. But just stop beating around the bush and get to it. If Benavidez beats Boo Boo in
That's
November,
it.
just get
Do
to
it.
it. Just
Do
get
it.
to it. Let's go.
And I'm an advocate for that fight, bro. I want to see that fight. Um, I know that there's since even before the plan fight, but especially after the plan fight, there was this like narrative out there that supposedly guys like you and I or anyone who's remotely a Canelo fan was going to do everything possible to like not do the Benavidez fight, right? And you and I have been asking for that fight. Like it's the fight I want that fight, and I hope it happens. Next year. I believe it will happen. I think it's going to be a hell of that fight cannot be boring. It can't. I think the fight will live up to, as far as action wise, it will live up to the bill.
I think what
I
Saturday
would say
night proved to me, D Style was I just envisioned the only guy around 168 and throw away the Bud fight because who knows what would happen with that.
right.
Bud's got a killer in him. I understand all that, but realistically, anybody around 168, Benavidez is the only guy I could see that would make that a close fight. All these other guys, to me, are smoke and
I'll take
mirrors.
it. I'll take it a step further, Calix. Anyone who doesn't think Benavidez should win that fight is crazy. Now, I favor Canelo in that fight. I believe Canelo
Right.
will win, but there is a danger here, and I'll tell you what the danger is. One, there are some X factors, things we don't quite know yet. They're going to have to fight for us to find out. How is Benavidez going to take the punches from Canelo? Is he going to is he going to what's going to be his punch resistance in that fight? It's going to be very important to me. And now this is the if he's able to absorb those punches, right? And
Activity.
take them well, he can outwork Canelo in some rounds.
And win rounds.
And could he overwhelm Canelo with activity and volume? He does have pretty fast hands, not the fastest feet. I think that's why Canelo's going to beat him. But really fast hands, and his defense is decent. It's not too bad, and I think that's what we don't know. We just don't know. Is Canelo's gas tank? He's now in his mid-30s. How is it going to hold up? That's what we don't know. That's an X factor. We don't know. All of us are guessing on how we think it's going to go. And I think that's what makes that fight very, very intriguing. And even if Benavidez loses that fight, which I believe he will, but let's say he loses, I think he'll put on a spirited effort. And I think he could still have a great career after that. You know what I mean? People forget, like, Benavidez is in his mid-20s, bro. He's not that old.
Yeah.
So he's younger than Tank. Like it is what it is. But
and then you would, despite if he loses, like you said, you would have 3 straight fights of Plant, Andre, Canelo. So we got something now, right? We've got something now.
That is 100%. Now the question is, how is he going to look next year, right?
How's he going to look against Boo Boo?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about how's the scenery going to look, because obviously we know what's happening with Showtime. Is Paramount going to take the reins from here? Are they going to finish off Canelo's contract? Are they going to rip the contract altogether? And is PBC going to go somewhere else with Canelo's contract? If they can't find a home, what does that mean for Canelo? Like, there's a lot of things we don't know yet that we got to wait and see, right? Um, I think it'll be paramount, but we just don't know yet, and that's going to be interesting. And after Canelo's done with this deal, like, does he go back to Matchroom? Right? Does he go back with Eddie and try to do that Bivol rematch? I think that's
I think
once he
that one's still bothering him. I still
yeah,
hear him
like,
talk
and I
about that.
think after he runs over the PBC guys, they're not gonna have shit to say anymore. You know what I mean? Like because he's gonna do his thing. And I think that fight, there will be an intrigue, especially if he's on a winning streak, like for that fight, maybe. You know what I mean? But we'll see where Bibble's like. I don't know what the hell Bibble's up to. You know,
No, nothing.
Bibble's but Bibble could have made $6 million on Saturday. Instead, they overpriced themselves. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
And that's another example for folks out there that just because you beat the guy doesn't mean the baton is being handed to you. There are other things, there are other factors, and you need to be out there working. You need to be out there working, and you need to be out there
100%.
being entertaining, marketable, and understand the market value for you and keep this thing rolling. And Bivol made the mistake of thinking, obviously, he was worth more than he is. And the baton was not passed to him.
Yeah, he was. They overplayed their hand because, and the reason they did, not only was there no demand for that rematch, people were saying, "Don't do the rematch. I don't want to see the rematch." That was the message by the market, and the
Yeah.
market saying that. What is like? Why would Canelo pay you more? Like, that makes no sense. Like, what? Why would he demand more? If you're getting it offered and that's the noise, then you take it. You make it official before they change their mind. Is what you do. Um, so it is what it is, man. But I am very as far as Canelo, really quick. I don't. The fact that the fight was boring, like, I don't blame Canelo for it.
Mm-mm.
I think Canelo was trying to make the fight. I think Canelo was trying to, like, do something right. Like, he even dropped him and made him bend the knee. But at some point, if a guy doesn't want to fight, he doesn't want to fight. Like,
I
you
didn't
can't.
give I didn't give Charlo a single round.
I don't think you want around.
Any round they
If
gave him
if
was
you
boring.
are if you are generous and a dickhead, you maybe give him 1 round. You know what I mean? But that's about it.
That's about it. And I mean, the message to the Canelo haters too would be, because this is all falling apart for them over time. I can go back 5, 6 years to my videos and see that I said some crazy things before Canelo versus Golovkin, saying Canelo is not going to fight Golovkin. And I was cheering for Golovkin in the first fight, second fight as well. But over time, certain guys just earn your praise and earn you being a fan of them and purchasing their fights and cheering for them. And Canelo has done that. And you have to learn from your mistakes. And you see certain fans not learning from their mistakes. It's like, how many times are you going to repeat this process? I only had to do it once. And it's like, no, he fought the fight. He fought the fight. And those aren't robberies to me. Yeah, I had Golovkin win the first fight, but that's not a robbery to me. It's debatable. And he did it. And he was the underdog in the first and second fight. I remember the narratives going in. He'll never beat Golovkin at middleweight. He'll never fight that fight. And then if he fights in that fight, Golovkin's going to knock him out. He's not a real middleweight like Golovkin. And then he goes through it, a whole trilogy with them.
You
And
know
then
what's
now they're
crazy?
doing it with the Charlos, and then they're going to do it with Andre, and they're
Yeah,
going to do
yeah.
it with Benavidez. And then he's going to do this again, and
Hey,
it's
but
going to fall
Calix,
apart again.
here's the thing. Like, what's crazy, and this shows you how the Overton window has been shifted with perspective, right? Remember, like, when Canelo fought Cotto, right? I believe that fight was in December, right, or November, something like that. It was late in
Mhm.
the year, and then, like, he had maybe 2, 3 fights, and then he fought Golovkin. But, like, that gap of time between Cotto and fighting Golovkin is really not that long.
No, it's
Like,
not.
people talk about it like it was like he made Golovkin wait like years, like the way they made Bud Crawford wait to fight Spence.
Yeah.
That's how they talk about it. And, like, Spence's, like, between fights, his layoffs are just about as long, like as it took to make that fight happen.
Hmm.
It is amazing to me. I'll look up the dates right now, but it wasn't like people are so used to waiting so long with this PBC model that they've forgotten how impatient they were for fights in the past, bro.
Yeah.
Like they've completely forgotten. He fought Golovkin in September of 2017,
Hmm.
right? He fought Miguel Cotto in November of, of 2015.
Yeah.
It was
Roughly a year and a half.
yeah, it was like 20 months.
What it is
That's it.
Canelo world moves fast, and anybody else a year and a half. Look, Mel once in a year and a half. Errol Spence once in a year and a half. But Canelo, there's no news in a month, and people start to get impatient. His haters get very impatient because they need to drop their videos, right? And Canelo
Yeah.
fans are just sitting around waiting because we know he's going to announce something. We know he's going to fight that fight. We all know he's going to fight the Benavidez fight. We all know it. We've been saying it for a year now. He's going to fight the fight. They're going to fight that fight.
And here's the thing: what people need to realize, it's actually less than a year and a half if you put it in this perspective. He agreed to fight Golovkin before the Chavez fight, if you
Yep.
remember, because they did the walkout after that,
It
right?
was about a year. It was about a year after they announced it. Yep.
I mean, he fought Cotto in November of 2000, late November, by the way, practically December of 2015, right? He fought Chavez in May of 2017, and that's when they announced the Ganado Golovkin fight.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it was just a year and a half, and they announced the fight. But people act like he made Golovkin wait all like when you hear people talk about it, like, don't they understand? That's how long it takes Spence to fight from one fight to the other.
Yep.
Charlo's been out for almost 900 days, hasn't fought. Like Jermell hasn't fought in over a year and a half before he fought Canelo.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is amazing. Like how because you're right. Like the world, we're like in a quantum round, right? Like when it comes to Canelo, like it moves in a different pace. So one day in Canelo world is like a month to these people. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like oh, you've been making me wait forever. Like it's been a month, bro. Like,
I need Canelo talk. I need Canelo talk.
yeah, like if he hasn't fought in 2 months, like, oh, Canelo's inactive. Like he just fought 2 months ago. Like what do you mean? Like your dude over here hasn't fought in 15 months.
Uh-huh.
Like, remember the language? Like, oh, Canelo is holding up the division. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? The dude just fought like 4 times last year. Like he beat 3 of the champions. What are you talking about? Like the language. It's just weird. Like the inactive dudes that fight every 15 months aren't holding up divisions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, bro. Shout out to base, by the way. And Lennox was best, and Nando, all you guys.
Yep. Shout out to everybody in the chat. And one more push for likes. Hit that like button if you're coming through. And here's sort of how I would put a ribbon on this performance Saturday. Stylistically, Canelo was sharp. You know, we could talk about obviously you're going to have that career arc, right? And the decline happens. But I said it before the Ryder fight, after the Ryder fight. The most intriguing part of a career to me is when a truly great or special fighter is coming towards that, like that last push, right? Like that last 3 to 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And you can tell, like, it's the Michael Jordan thing, right? Is Michael Jordan can't blow by guys anymore. So he's going to develop the fadeaway. And it's more interesting, it's more intriguing because that gap is closing a little bit. And you want to see how he maneuvers that, how he navigates that part of his career. And that's where Canelo's at right now. To me, is he's at a different point than he was, say, 2015 or even 2017, around the first and second Golovkin fights. And the reflexes might not be as much, or maybe he wears down a little more late in fights. Maybe who knows? But they're going to be clear diminished skills, right? Over time. It's just the career arc. So this is the fun part to me, but on Saturday, his timing was great from the jump. He had great timing. Upper body movement was there. The left hook to the body that we talked about was still there. And you could tell that was making Charlo gun shy. And anybody else 120 to 107s a Charlo That's a career-defining performance, but is that even a top 10 performance for Canelo? And this is what we talk about. Like when people ask, why do you think Canelo is special? Why do you think he's an all-time great? That's why. It's anybody else, 120s and 107s of Charlo, it's their career-defining performance. For Canelo, it's another day in the park.
Let's be honest. If Tim Tszyu did that to Jamal, right, won all
Yeah.
12 rounds. And look, I'm saying rightfully so, but it would have been like a big win. It might remain the biggest win of his career.
Yep.
Like for the rest of it, like who knows, right? For Canelo, is this win in his top 10? In hindsight, is it there? Like despite Leonard saying that this guy is special, but Bibble's just okay, right? Despite that, like I think that this is something like to me. Maybe it makes the top 10, but if it does, it's like up there, like 10 or 9. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we got to do a show or do the top 10 like an official list. But you're right. I agree.
And then another part of this is May. Who's going to be the guy, May? We have to watch. I think we're going to, no, but I think we're going to have a better idea of it November 25th because what's going to happen November 25th? Obviously, we have Benavidez versus Boo Boo at the top. And then the rumors are Maul versus Jose Benavidez. And if that's the case, I would not be surprised in pure PBC fashion if everything stays the same with if PBC has a platform, if they do the brother trying to get revenge for his brother and they do Canelo. I'm just telling you, don't put it past him if you get Canelo versus Maul.
I'm a big Canelo fan. I will shred him if he fights Jamal. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Okay. Now, what if we get a scenario in which Benavidez maybe wins against Boo Boo, but it's not, it's a 7-5 debatable type thing, and then we get Maul destroy Benavidez. Still the same?
Yes. 100%.
Well, because I mean,
he's fighting the one-legged Benavidez. I mean, I'm you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I like Jose, and I, believe it or not, I mean Jose might give him a good fight, by the way. But I think even if it's a close decision against
Andrade, time, right? It's time.
Yeah, remember Andrade was the guy that supposedly Canelo's running from the hills, and you know what I mean. Like it is what it is. But to me, it's got to be honest with everybody, man. Like the fight to make is Benavidez versus Canelo May 5th. That's the fight to make.
And then I think as long as it's an entertaining fight, either way, you can do a rematch in September. Why not?
Yeah, right? You could do a rematch in September. Like, yeah, Canelo stopped him, but Benavidez, he looked like he was running out of gas, and the refs, like, they did it for Wilder. He did a quick count. Like Benavidez got up at the count of 9, and they stopped it. Like they could do a lot of things, but
yeah.
Now what could they do? Look. Why not Morale? Like if you put Morale, like put Moriel on an undercard against somebody good, right?
Yep.
Maybe Jamal. I think he knocks out Jamal, and then you could do Morel versus Canelo at the end. Like, you know what I mean? That's there. Why not?
Yeah. And the Canelo fans are down for whatever. That much I can tell you. So great performance for Canelo. Where are we at on your channel this week?
Look, Wednesday. Make sure you guys tune in Wednesday around the same time as the show. Should be fun stuff. Catch me in the ring with Christine later today. Make sure you guys check that out. Box Topics. And that's that.
All right. Appreciate everybody rolling through. See y'all later.
Peace. Hit the like.